Hey everybody, my name is Angela. I want to talk to you today about voice messaging people. So in our business, it's really important that we actually send messages to people where they can hear the sincerity and the excitement and enthusiasm in our voice when we talk to them. It's so much different than sending a copy and pasted message or a message that maybe just doesn't convey the tone that we really feel that we would say if we were speaking it with our words. So one of the things that we do in our team is we do a system that we like to refer to as ATV. So A stands for add, means we add people to our group that's for our prospects, for people who might be interested, for our friends who might want to know more about Plexus. And also, when they get added to that group, they are able to be surrounded by people that are really excited about health and wellness, and they get to learn about all kinds of things that they can do for their health. And a lot of those things are free. So we're adding value to people just by adding them to our group. And so that's the first step. The second step is once you add them to the group, you need to find the relevant posts by using the hashtags or using the keywords, which you can find lists of in our team page. You can also find those lists on our Trello board for our team, where you can look and find posts that are relevant to that person and to what they're looking for. Remember, hopefully you've watched both of the videos about adding people and tagging them, but I'm just going to reiterate that when you are tagging somebody in a post about anything health-wise, make sure that we're being respectful of their privacy. If they've talked about this thing openly, if they've posted it on Facebook, if they've been pretty open about that they're struggling with it, then it's pretty much okay to tag them in that. And remember, we like to delete the last name, so only the first name is there. And that's all you do. You just tag them in it so that they can read it if they want to. And that's it. So the next step after you do something like that is that you want to immediately send them a message. You want to immediately do that before it has a chance to make them feel like, oh my goodness, why did I get added to this group? I don't even know why I'm here. So don't go do laundry first. After you add them and tag them, the very next thing you want to do in one fell swoop is you want to send them a message. Your message can be really short and sweet. We want to do that via voice message, so get Messenger on your phone. There's a little record button on there if you didn't know. We've done other trainings about it, but briefly I'll just let you know that when you find somebody's name on Messenger, if you look down at the bottom where you would normally type, there's a little icon that looks like a microphone. You want to hold that down and send a message. So I'm going to give you a couple of examples here, and then on our Trello board, which is called Legacy Logistics because we are Team Legacy, you will find some other examples of some scripts that you can kind of play around with and make them yours. The thing I want you to keep in mind is anything that you see in bold, you want to leave those words alone because those are important. We found that those are the structural things that you don't want to play around with. I'll get into some more of that in a minute. If you feel like there's no way I can send a message, let me tell you a couple of things. Number one, you can practice by finding your own name in Messenger, pulling your own name up, and practice sending yourself the messages until it feels right and until it sounds like you. So if you type something out or write something out, it may look good written, but then it may not feel as good to you when it's kind of not flowing off your tongue the right way. I know that's happened to me a lot of times. And so as I'm practicing it, I realize I want to change around how that comes out. I want to change those words because it doesn't flow right out of my mouth. So you can do that and practice that way. The other thing is, it's not as scary as it seems. So if you've ever been in one of my challenge groups, what we call them momentum groups, you have learned to overcome this fear. And I'm going to get into that a little bit in a minute, but understand that if you're going to use our duplicatable system that our team uses, it's very important not to just do the first step, the second step, and then leave off the third one. If you're going to add them to the group and you're going to tag them in something, or do either, just adding them, it's not going to work the same way. People aren't going to find the same value. And so this third step is really important. You have to do this one too. So what you're going to do is you're going to send them a voice message, and in it, you can even mention to them that they have been added to a secret private group that other people who are not in the group aren't able to see the post. In fact, they're not even able to see that they're in the group at all. So that's something that you can say in the message. Very helpful thing to say, especially where there's a learning curve. And sometimes people don't understand social media and they don't know how those settings work in groups. And so they aren't sure that everything that happens there isn't being seen by all their friends on Facebook. So all of our groups are set to secret, which means you can't even find the group if you're not in it. So nobody's going to see who's in it, and they're certainly not going to see the posts that are happening there. So they might show up on your newsfeed, but that's because you're in the group. So that's something that you can convey to people also. This is a beautiful way to offer people the resource of our group and simultaneously let them gracefully exit should they choose to do that. So they're not going to end up frustrated with you because you're going to make it clear that yes, they can either leave or they can stay, but you'll find that when you're making it clear that you're not trying to cram anything down their throat and you recognize their right to ultimately make their own choices, whether that aligns with your ideas about health and wellness or not, you'll find that that approach helps you to keep your relationships intact with people. And this is a relationship business. So you want to make sure people feel valued and heard and respected and that their opinion matters. And so we don't want to cram things at people, but we do want to provide them the resource. We want to give them the information about our products and we want to provide value to them in that group. So without further ado, let's move on to what this looks like. I'm going to pull my notes up. So I'm going to give you examples of two different scenarios. In the first one, we're going to say, what if somebody has reached out to you and said, what is Plexus? Maybe you posted something on Facebook. Maybe it happened in any number of ways, and either they commented on your post on your Facebook page, or maybe they sent you a message and said, hey, what is Plexus? What is that? So here's what you're going to do. You're going to add them to our health and happiness group because that is for not only our customers, but for people who just want to learn more about Plexus and might just want to hang around and learn about the health and wellness stuff that we love to talk about. So you're going to add them. You're going to find a post. A lot of times, if this is the way they've come to you, you're going to look for a keyword like nutshell. That's going to bring up some posts about what is Plexus in a nutshell. You're going to pull up one of those, find the appropriate one that makes sense, and put their name in it, remembering to delete their last name. So you're going to do something like that. Then you're going to send a voice message, and it's going to sound a little bit like this. So, hey, Chris, I'm so glad you reached out to me. I hope it's fine with you. I've added you to this group. It's called Health and Happiness Tribe. I've tagged you in something. I removed your last name that I think will give you a general snapshot of what Plexus is. Feel free to stay in that group or not. It's obviously up to you. You can take yourself out after you read that if you want to, but I think you'll really appreciate the content in there. By the way, what brought you to reach out to me? What did you see or hear that really hit home for you? And that's the end of your message. So that takes less than 60 seconds to say that for the most part. And you're just going to wait and see what they say back. Don't worry if they don't respond back right away. It's okay. You're not doing anything wrong. It's very common. One of the things that I suggest to people is that if it really starts to bother you that they haven't responded back and you start to feel like, oh no, maybe I did something wrong, there's actually a button where you can archive that message and it won't pop back up until they say something to you next. But don't worry that you're doing anything wrong. It's very common. So go ahead and do that step and then you're going to continue that conversation and hopefully they're going to be one of the ones that does respond to you and answer that question. But we want to leave a lot of really open-ended probing questions that gets a conversation going. What we never do is end it with, let me know if you have any questions. That's a conversation ender. It's not a conversation starter. And another thing that we never do is just send somebody our website. Because when people get to our website before they know the value of our products, they get there and they're confused and they don't know what they need or why they need it. So you really have to have the conversations first before you ever send them to your website. I always call that the black hole of this. You will never see them again in most cases. So don't do that. Okay, so another thing that we didn't do is we didn't send them a big long answer with tons and tons of information and our whole story and everything we love about the company. Believe me, I did that before. That was one of the early mistakes that I did when I started this business way back in 2013, 2014. I sent too much information because I was really excited about what the products had done for me. I was really excited about the science, and I was really excited about the integrity of the company. And so when I would send people a message, I would have so much to say about it, thinking, I'm saving them time. I'm going to tell them everything I've learned and all the stuff that's happened for me. It's not going to take them as long to decide as it took for me because I'm providing them all the information first. And that overwhelms people. So we don't want to do that. We want to send a short snippet. We want them to hear why we're excited. And then we want to put them in a group, or we'll put them in the group first, but that allows them to go to the group and start to see stuff for themselves and start to poke around and ask you some questions from there. So you are going to keep in touch with them. You are going to keep communicating with them. That's the rest of this process. Okay, scenario number 2 of the 2 that I'm going to give you is that you're reaching out to other people. I really encourage you to do this, even though it sounds scary. If you've been in any of my groups, you've done this a lot. You've overcome some big time fears and realized it's not as hard as you thought it was. You've probably also reframed your thinking into realizing that you're not trying to message people to get them to buy stuff, but you're messaging people as one of the Plexus Hope dealers who may have the answer to what they or their family has been needing and seeking for a really long time. So you're just there to open the door, to educate, and to be a good friend. That's how I've done my business, and that's why it works for me, and I maintain my friendships. So I hope to teach you to do it the same way. So if you're reaching out, you have a list. You always have a list of people that's constantly growing, and you're constantly reaching out to people and finding a way to connect them to what you know about Plexus and how it might help them. So maybe you know a person, you've had a reason to add them to the group, tag them in a post about a particular topic. Maybe you've learned, like we've used the example, maybe you know that they have migraines and they suffer from that a lot, and you know that you've seen lots of different testimonies about how that can help, and you even know what the science is behind some of that. So you're going to send them a message and say something like, hey, Chris, I wanted to reach out to you about something. You might have noticed by now that I'm happily part of a company called Plexus Worldwide. It's a company that's changed mine and my family's lives so much for the better. I wanted to let you know that I just added you to a wonderful resource group full of information about really all things health and wellness. And I hope you'll be interested in taking a look at it. But there was one thing in particular that I saw there today that made me think of you, because I remember that you couldn't do X, Y, and Z because of your migraines. And what I have has helped so many people with migraines. So much of the time, those things are caused by gut imbalances, and that's really what our product line is built around. I want you to just feel free to tune into that group or not. You can take yourself out. It's totally up to you. I won't be offended. But I wanted to make sure to show you that information because I know so often people are struggling with a health issue longer than they need to be because just like me, they don't know what the root cause is or that there are other options. I hope you're doing well. Now that's a little bit of a longer message. When you're cold calling, it takes a few more words, or when you're cold messaging, and that's it. So like I said, you can practice sending these messages to yourself in your own messenger. We do it all the time. It's simple. It's not hard. It takes confidence. And this is a really simple system. So remember, don't copy and paste messages. Send them that voice message. And I hope this was helpful for you. And I look forward to seeing your business grow. Take care.